What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you another update post-Alliance Insight. Today is the turn of 6 Samurai. Now, this didn't get a massive change, they really only got one brand new extra deck card, but I haven't updated this deck since the most recent Forbidden Limited list, so I thought I'd also give you an update, talk about the strategy of what you're going to want to be doing with this particular deck, and then also show you a demo side deck, which is something that I'm becoming a little bit more accustomed to with most of the profiles, so you have more of an idea of what the deck will look like as a complete setup to take it to your environment. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Diving headfirst into the 6 Samurai monsters, you are of course going to be on triple Kizan. You don't want to be playing any less than this. The fact of the matter is, as long as you control another 6 Sam, you get to special summon this card, and you're just going to keep going and going and going and going, so you keep looping it back and everything else in between. We then have 3 of the Kageki. Some people don't like this, but I still feel that this is the best starter for the entire deck. Like, I don't want to normal summon any of my other 6 Samurais because the majority of them are going to be free extenders, or they're all going to be ones that you can get out of the deck very easily. I quite like the idea of normal summoning down Kageki, attempt to use the effect, and then my opponent starts to interact with them by using an Imperm or a Veiler to stop that happening. And more times than not, if I'm able to special summon down my extenders for free in the form of the Anarchist, or of course in the form of the Tactical Trainer, it then means that I can save their effects to special summon themselves down for later on in the turn or later on in the combo. Not to mention that if you're able to get your Kageki straight into your Anarchist, that's going to give you your level 6, which gives you the level 6 Synchro for the Shien, which is going to be able to protect you from the Biru going forward, and that's really what you're aiming for. Protect yourself from the Biru, protect yourself from Droll before you even start a search, and then of course you'll use the Anarchist effect to search, and then if you do have your other extenders in the form of another Anarchist or a Tactical Trainer, you can start extending to your field with Kagekis and everything else in between, and that's when you're going to be able to be a little bit more loose with the plays you're going to want to make. For the one-offs, we've got the one Kizaru, the one Grandmaster, and the one Hatsume. So obviously the idea is that Hatsume is one of the ones you want to be summoning a lot more in the later turns, so something off of Dojo, something off of your Saruja, the Skull Dread, for the pure fact that you want to be able to get your 6 Sams into the graveyard, utilize the effect, and then that's when you can open up the door for another Synchro 6 or a Synchro 5, should you wish to, or heck, even work your way up into a different Synchro play or just a Link play in general. Your Grandmaster, of course, is quite like Kizan, but it's a level 5 version that if you control another 6 Sam monster, you get to special summon it. And then, of course, the Kizaru is one of the ones that you want to be special summoning. Annoyingly, if this card was on normal or special, you add from the deck to the hand a 6 Sam with a different attribute. Golden. But the fact that it's only when it is special summoned, that's when it makes it a little bit more awkward, which, yes, of course, you might want to see this with Kageki, but if I don't see it with Kageki, it's kind of redundant. And it's one of them ones, again, you want to special summon it from the deck, you want to special summon it from the hand, so you want to search it out when you want it, and then that's when you can start searching out different extenders, because obviously you can't search out your Kizan, Tactical Trainer, or Master, but you can search out Hatsume, Anarchist, Kageki, if you need to, or of course, Fuma. The last 2 6 Samurai cards, or technically 1 6 Samurai and a Great Shogun that I play the Uraza. Some people don't play this, absolutely fine. This is just my personal choice. This is one of the cards you can summon off of the back of the Anarchist, and the way that it works is you activate Anarchist and then summon it off of the back of your Great Shogun. Your Battle Shogun, because they're 1,000 attack, you just need to make sure that this doesn't have any Bushido counters on it, because if there's any Bushido counters on the field, the attack stats of this card changes. So you do need to be very, very careful of that. But the idea is that if I'm at base minimum, I've utilized the effect to get my Battle Shogun. Battle Shogun's got me the gateway. I can activate the Asceticism, I can activate the Asceticism to target a 6 Sam monster I control and special summon a 6 Sam from the deck with the same attack but a different name, which gets me into the Uraza. This will then, of course, with Gateway in rotation, would give me 2 counters off the Uraza summon, and then will give me 1 counter on the Battle Shogun. So I've already got 3 counters, all I need is another extender, and I'm starting to grow more and more Bushido counters, and once I get that additional counter into rotation, I then take away 4, that's my Kizan, that could be my Tactical Trainer, that could be my Anarchist, I've just got so much more to go for it, but this is entirely up to you. Then, of course, we do play the one Great Shogun Shien. The fact that this is very easily accessible right now is crazy. And then it's very easy to get 2 6 Sams on the field. To then be able to bring this down and then say to your opponent, you can only activate 1 spell or trap is really, really important, especially when you're looking at type of the matchups that we're going forward with stuff like Malice. when you're able to say, right, well, you can only activate either TB11 or GWC, that's really going to give them a couple of issues, and it means that you can negate them, protect against them, whatever you need to. It is one of them ones that's a little bit weird because you don't really want to end your field with this plus something like a Barkion and something like a Nat Beast, but at least with the Nat Beast, rather than negating the first spell that they activate, you could actually let that go through, and then that's the only spell they can activate. Or if the spell they're going to activate is something like Lightning Storm, then you go, okay, cool, Nat Beast negate. And then if I go Talents, you go Nat Beast negate. So you're constantly going to stop it, so the Shogun never really resolves, because this one is only when they activate it and resolve it. If you're negating the activation, they can just activate another one. So it's one of the ones that you're probably going to be using this more as link fodder, or just general fodder in general. General fodder in general. But if you do have that option for the extra. If you don't get to your Great Shogun Shien, you can work your way into a Nat Beast or a Barkion, or work it in whatever you need to. For the other 6 Samurai cards, we are playing triple Shien's Dojo. I've now upgraded this from 2 to 3. The idea behind this one is I still need a card that can maintain more Bushido counters. The other cards that we play that can maintain Bushido counters are 6 Samurai United, but this can only maintain 2 at a time. The only benefit of something like this is once you have a card that can remove Bushido counters from anywhere on the field, ideally Gateway, that's when you'll take them off of United. But you kind of don't want to, there'll be times when you'll get more than 2 on this, or you have the ability to put more than 2 on this, so you want to make sure you'll be able to take away from it, and that's when Dojo comes into play. The other good thing about Dojo is if you activate Dojo, normal summon down a Kageki, and they stop the Geki, and then the cards in your hand are not extenders, you go, okay, cool, well, send the Dojo, get your extender in the form of the Fuma, then go into your Battle Shogun, and then try and build your field from that point on. I really wish this comes back to 3, but then I also don't, because if it comes back to 3, I'm going to have to get 2 more Quarter Centuries, and that's like, painful. 3 Shien Smoke Signal. This card deserved an upgrade. 1 Reinforcement of the Army. I know, it's a little bit out there that I've got QC's United and everything else, but then I've just got a gold Reinforcement of the Army. It's because the QC's actually in my hero deck right now, so yikes. So anyway, 3 Shien Smoke Signals obviously gives you more consistency to get to your Kageki. Rota can get you into your Kizan, your Kizaru, whatever you need to, and that's kind of the way it wants to work. You can also use your Smoke Signal to get you into your extenders like your Tactical Masters. The one thing you need to be massively careful for is if Drone Lockbird is running rampant in the environment, you do need to be a little bit cautious when you're activating cards like this that are constantly going to be adding for free. That is where there is a particular side deck card that I'll mention to you and show to you in a little bit later on to kind of directly deal with Drone Lockbird. We've then got the 1 Asceticism, the 1 Double Assault, and then the 1 Cunning. You don't have to play Cunning, I just quite like this. So this one lets you send a face-up 6 Sam to the grave, you control to the grave, and then special summon 1. And the reason that is so good is that the Legendary Lord 6 Samurai Shien is actually a soft once per turn. So if I send this, I can revive this, and then its monster negate is back online. So that's why I really like this card. Double Assault is obviously quite useful as well, being able to special on a 6 round from the hand or grave allows you to extend those plays a little bit further. So technically, once you've made your plays to go into Battle Shogun, then of course if you've got this or you've got the Asceticism, you can obviously activate this one as a 6 Samurai card, and then you can work your way into a Double Strike or vice versa. And then for the hand traps, I've gone with triple Infinite Impermanence, triple Mulchomi Fluoros. So the reason I've gone with Fluoros is because this deck is so tight on space, you only really have about 10 spaces that you can utilize for hand traps. So I decided to go with cards that are going to be able to enhance my plays. So if I'm going first, this is the easiest discard fodder ever for your Battle Shogun. If you're going second, this is such a powerful card to slow your opponent down, draw you as much advantage as possible, or just kind of make sure that they go, okay, pass turn. 6 Samurai are such a heavy combo orientated deck, which is why I'm also main decking 2 Dark Rule No More and 2 Evenly, so that when you're looking at this, you actually end up having 7 cards for going second. You don't mind about skipping your battle phase, and this is obviously quite themed for 6 Samurais. You also don't care about not being able to deal the damage, because your end field, if you're able to combo off and complete your combo, is near unbreakable, because you can end on, like I've mentioned before, Nat Beast, Barkions, you can end on Shiens, which negates monster effects, you've got Skull Dreads, which lets you extend. You've got IP Masqueraders, which threaten to go into an SP Little Knight, which sets up a Banish It or not 2. So being able to play, I would much rather play cards that are going to skip my opponent's turn or break their entire field that they're not expecting than rely on specific hand traps like Ash Blossom, which are sometimes hit and miss, because it's like, cool, activate Ash, and they're like, okay, fine, I'll extend plays. Activate Vader, cool, I can still extend. Imperm is one of them ones, but Imperm is still the best card that could be utilised for going first and second. So if they end their field on an incredibly powerful Omni Negate, you bait it straight out by activating the imperm if you don't see the Dark Ruler no more. If you see the Dark Ruler no more, you don't really care, you just go, cool, Dark Ruler no more, and then if they bring something else to the field, you can imperm it. So you've got loads of different options to kind of play around with it. It's entirely up to you what you do in this 10 card section. This is just the version that works for me, especially without having cross out now to 3. You need to kind of be able to break in the field, and the only time you're really going to put yourself at a detriment is if you activate a card like this, and even then you've broken your opponent's field, and then you can't make combo without having to do a couple of searches and they draw and lockbird you. If that's the case, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately, but that's when you need to navigate the deck correctly in order to do so. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now what I'm going to do is show you the extra deck. Especially as well, when you're looking at evenly matching Dark Ruler no more, some of the brand new cards, or mainly the 2 Six Samurais that haven't been given a quarter century, big sad, are actually your field breakers. So these are your go second Six Samurai monsters. So you've got the brand new Legendary Lord Six Samurai Kizan. It is a level 6 and it is generic, but 6 Sam monsters you control gain 600 attack and defense, but only during the battle phase. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During your opponent's main phase, you get a quick effect to banish the 6 strike card from the graveyard to target a card on the field and destroy it. And if you control 2 or more 6 Sam monsters, you get to special on this card from the graveyard. So the benefit of something like this is not one of the cards you ideally want to be ending your field with, but you could technically leave this on the field. It's also one of them ones that sets up the trap card, which was from... I did have it. I probably had it on my phone somewhere. But there was a trap card that came out in Supreme Darkness, and it was like, for every Bushido counter you control, you reduce the requirement of having the number of 6 Samurai monsters on the field by 1. And it was like, okay, cool. So it wants you to have 3 6 Samurai monsters on the field. And I'm like, well, you do technically do that. Like, you can end on a Kizan, you end on a Shien, and then you could ideally end with enough Bushido counters left on it. But I kind of felt there was more of a win more trap card than anything. Like, I don't want to search that out as my 6 strike card. I want to search out my double assault. That's going to allow me to push my combos. And the only times I'd want to search out the 6 strike trap card was for the pure fact that I would have been hand trapped to death. And at that point, you're like, all right, well, I might as well just try and defend up a little bit more than relying on this trap card, which if I control 3 6 Samurai monsters or just loads of Bushido counters, which by the point you already have loads of Bushido counters, you would have passed through a lot of hand traps anyway, you can destroy all of your opponent's cards. So I didn't feel that the trap card was worth it, but this is definitely a card you can leave on your own field. But it's just one of the ones that if it's in the graveyard, you get to bring it back. It's also a nice extender that if you work your way into it through the synchros and you're like, right, okay, I need another 6 Sam to come back to the field to produce me more Bushido counters, you can do exactly that, and then you can leave it on the field to maintain its quick effect. I really wish this got a Super X, and it would have matched the Nishi at the very least. So Nishi, again, is generic level 6. Warrior monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense during the battle phase only. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is synchroed, you get to banish any number of 6 Sam monsters from the graveyard, target that many monsters your opponent controls, and return those monsters to the hand. If this card is Syntegrade, you get to special on one of your banished 6 Sam monsters, so obviously more ideal for going second on both of these. But I feel that in the past, sometimes you would go through Nishi during your turn 1 combo. I feel you're now going to switch that up and go to your Kizan during the turn 1 combo, just because you get to bring this back. So that will basically act as the pseudo second effect of this card, and then you can save this card for breaking your opponent's field when you're going second. And that's why this card works so well for breaking your opponent's field going second, because the more 6 Sams you have in the graveyard by the time you make this, and if you Dark Ruled your opponent's field and negate them and they're like, cool, you're not going through it, you go into the Nishi and then just return them. Then, of course, we do have 2 of the Legendary Lord 6 Samurai Shien. This card's mentally good. Unfortunately, not as generic as the others, which kind of makes sense. But it requires a Warrior Tuner and a non-tuner 6 Sam monster, which is obviously all you're going to be producing in this deck. If this card is Synchro Zoned, you get to add a 6 Samurai monster or a Shien effect monster from the deck or graveyard to the hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. Once per turn when your opponent activates, that effect once per turn, and then soft once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you get to negate the activation if you do destroy that card. If this card on the field would be destroyed by a battle card effect, you get to destroy one monster you control instead, which is obviously going to be very, very useful. Then we do have the original Shien, and then for the other synchro monsters, we do play the one Barkion and the one Nat Beast. Barkion I'm not completely sold on for being in the main deck. It was originally as a side deck option, but I was like, right, I've been able to find a bit more space, so I'll actually main it. Sometimes it can come up, but for Barkion, you need to know exactly what you're facing, because you're not going to make Barkion against like a Ryzel deck. You'll make Barkion against a Malice deck, but you need to know you're facing Malice to then make it, and if you don't know that turn 1, you might not make it. So the consistency factor, like, turn 1, more times than not, if you don't know what your opponent's playing and you have the option to make a Barkion or a Beast, I almost guarantee you 99.999% of the time you're going to be making Beast, unless you know your environment is running rampant with trap cards and then you take the gamble of Barkion. We then have the one Dawn Dragstar and the one Omega. So obviously Mega's quite useful, being able to like, you need to kind of use your 6 sounds, get them off the field sometimes to create more space, and then making an Omega lets you rip one from your opponent's hand and then frees you up a bit more space. It can also recycle some of your banished 6 sounds, which can be quite helpful as well. For the Link monsters, we do play 2 of the Battle Shogun. This is more so for the grind game, but there will be a time that this is one of the weakest spots for the deck because stopping it getting to Gateway will stop its resource management. So without being able to utilize something like a Crossout Designator to protect this card from being hit by Droll can be an issue, Veiler, Ashes, Imperms, you name it, this is going to be a little bit more fragile. So you need to make sure you're setting up the negate of Shien. Now Shien's only going to protect you from the monster effects, and you can't really get your old Shien for the spells and traps to deal with Imperm and the new Shien to deal with monsters. You're only really going to be able to get one or the other before you can make your Battle Shogun and before you start walking into Draw and Lock Birds and everything else in between. So you need to take the gamble on that one. As soon as this resolves, 99.999% of the time you'll win that duel because you've already got Gateway in rotation. Gateway just gives you so much more crazy resource, and that's when you're going to really kind of stump out your opponent. Then, of course, we have the 1 IP into SP, and then the 1 Saruja Skuldred, followed up by the last card being the 1 Daguerres. Now, you can play the Shadow of the 6 Samurai, and the only reason you'd make this is that it's another 6 Samurai monster that can be summoned to the zone that the Link monster points to produce another Bushido counter. But I felt at the end of the day, you would just make Daguerres and then use Daguerres to revive from the graveyard, which means you don't mind linking off something like a Shien. Or, of course, you can do the draw 2, ditch 2. Draw 2, ditch 1. But it really is up to you which one you'd want to go for. Another option for this can obviously be Baguska. It kind of comes down to what you're fearing. Baguska can be quite good if you do get hit with like a stun card in the form of a Droll, in the form of a Shifter, or even in the form of a Molchummy as well. So you kind of got different options with that. So that's it for the entire main deck and the extra deck. Now to show you the side deck. So for the side deck, I've gone for Go Second cards. As like I've said, going first, I don't really want to see particular hand traps unless they are hand traps of the format, being Artifact Lancia and then possibly Draw and Lockbird if you want to. So Lancia is pretty much in everyone's side decks right now. Malice will be the strongest deck, so if your environment is playing the strongest deck around, you need to have this card. However, what I've done is I've gone for pretty much, and again, shout out to Shien on this one, because he made a very good point. He was like, well, I'm going to rely on Triple Tactics Thrust, because if my opponent turn skips me, and of course he was playing Malice, so it was more so if he gets Lanciered, how does he return? So with 6 Samurais, you can apply the same kind of approach for Draw and Lockbird. If you get Drolled, how are you going to retaliate? So if I get Drolled, I'll go Triple Tactics Thrust, and I'll use my Triple Tactics Thrust to get me a DDG for any deck that relies on the graveyard. I'll get myself a Sanctum if it is a Malice matchup. I'll get myself a Destructive Daruma Cannon for the Malice matchup or any Link Heavy style matchup. I can go for D-Barrier for anything that is XYZ, Ritualed, you name it, apart from Links, of course. And then the other thing is the Triple Tactics Thrust will help you enhance going second because then it acts as additional copies of Evenly Matched, Dark Rule and No More, Harpy's Feather Duster, you name it, and even a Triple Tactic Talent. The last card that I'm playing is to deal specifically with Draw and Lockbird. It can be utilised for going second if you wanted to, because you could call a card that your opponent has or a card you feel that they might have, and that will then cause them issues. But the card that I've gone for is Salesman. And it's one of them ones, more times than not, it'll probably be for game 3. Like if I win duel 1, or even if I lose duel 1, I go duel 2 and I'm going to be going first. If my opponent knows what I'm playing, they'll probably know that 6 Samurai has a weakness against Draw and Lockbird, so I'm going to side in the Sales Ban, I'm going to activate Sales Ban, call Draw and Lockbird, and then I'm able to fully combo, and then they can't really break the field. Whereas if I'm going into game 3, again, they know exactly what I'm playing. Again, I feel that they're going to be putting in Draw and Lockbird, I'll go Sales Ban, call Draw and Lockbird, and that really will slow them down. The only gamble on this one is if people are main decking Draw and Lockbird at your environment, you might want to consider main decking this card, but I feel it has a little bit less consistency because you don't really want to be activating this going second, although you can do, but it's just one of the ones that I feel is the best counter right now, unless you wanted to go for 1 cross out, 1 Draw and Lockbird, and 1 Call by the Grave, where to be honest, I feel just playing a more consistent Sales Ban could be quite helpful for you, and that would really, really work out in your favour. So that's it for the main deck, side deck, and of course extra decks. You have everything you need in order to kind of get this deck together and ready to roll. If you've been building this deck already, then all you need to get a hold of is one of the brand new Kizan Legendary Lord, which I think is a nice addition. My only disappointment is that it's not foil, but maybe it gets a foil upgrade alongside Double Assault, please, Konami, would be really, really nice. Thanks so much for watching. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them. For now, as always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.